Hi, Lindy. This is for you. Alex.
The camera's on.
Wait, Lindy.
Lindy's not here today, guys.
Yes. Wait, Lindy.
Hi, Lindy.
Lindy's not here today. Let's go.
James, I like your hat.
What I got up this morning? You're like, what the heck is going on? Sure. Yeah, because I wasn't here, right? What did y'all do for that? Other than the Illuminati one.
We have a journal entry for Status. This is Friday.
Oh, man, what happened here?
Yes.
I need some food now, bro. Now I'm hungry.
You got to set up your papers. So few of you.
Wait, picture the boat.
So very few.
Wait, picture the boat. Your bag of chips.
TJ been here?
He was supposed to be feeling better today.
VFL.
I'll be fine.
Yeah. Wow, you better move.
I know.
Ezzy. Hey, look. I changed it. Come on.
I didn't say it was
There we go. We're not going to be here this whole week.
You have trained me well. Yes.
That's it.
What's today's date?
Don't make me repeat myself now.
27.
He just repeated himself. What is that over there?
27. I'm happy to
27?
Yes.
Thank
Where's
you,
Disney?
welcome back, James.
You know.
I was going to be so good to be here.
I mean, I was here Friday, but I got checked out like
No, you weren't.
bathroom break from
No,
second
you
block.
weren't. You were not here.
I was here Friday.
I'm here.
I don't care if I was
You
here or
weren't
not.
here. You weren't here.
I wanted to leave this class
David.
because I did not study for the BFL.
That is not what VFL is supposed to design.
No, I had a doctor's appointment on Friday, so I had to.
Well, you will take your VFL.
No. What if I get out that would do?
I was on VFL at the end of our day. We got 1 page of notes. Okay, that's notes for the whole week in front of you. So do not despair.
Are you going to talk about this stupid word? Every single one of my teachers talk about today is getting on my nerves.
Every teacher that I had, except
That's the
my
first thing
first
they talk about. I'm like, please be quiet. If you guys don't think it's that big of a deal, why are you telling us?
Wednesday,
I'm coming here.
we're not getting out Thursday and Friday.
I know.
It ain't a big deal.
What's going on with him here? You only do it extra time to get it. Plus one game. I'm not like.
The only thing I am gonna ask though, because everything one of the things gonna happen, you think it's gonna happen? I wanna know Mr. Swanson.
Do you want to talk about a hurricane or not?
No,
Yes.
just tell me if you think we're gonna have. Yes, let's talk about the hurricane.
Yes, that way we can buy time.
You know that's not how it James. You know we're gonna get the road back.
Fine, then talk about one of your war stories, then we can really buy time.
All right, I would first like to talk about the hurricane and reassure you that real talk. Let me tell you what you have in hand in front of you. So one, these are notes for the week. Today we're only doing one page, so do not despair. It's not 2 pages stapled or anything like that. Today we're doing just 1 page. Important, nope, front. Important that you have in front of you is your Unit 3 study guide, because it is a reality that we may not be in school Thursday or Friday. So even though we haven't gotten to all these pages yet, I'm giving them to you so that you have them. Because now we will adjust if necessary based off of the amount of days we lose. But realistically, we're driving towards an exam on what day?
On October 5th.
That's right.
Wednesday.
Which Wednesday is that?
Next Wednesday.
Wednesday of next week.
During
Okay.
homecoming
This
week.
is, well, it wasn't going to be during
It wasn't gonna be
homecoming week.
during homecoming week.
This is a shorter unit. We are already sliding into the exam. It is Wednesday of next week. Monday and Tuesday, I already have designed as review days. So let's say we miss a day. All right, Monday, Tuesday, we got time to review, all that kind of a stuff. We're driving towards the exam on Wednesday. This is in your hands already. That's important so that you can start looking at it. Okay, study guide.
Please tell me one of those games are knockouts.
Alexia has put in for knockout.
Yes.
Agree to knockout?
Yes.
Probably play some knockout.
Knockout.
All right.
The
The ha-
game.
The half page, this is your VFL words for this
What's the
week.
date?
We will have what's your watch? Hey, time for you to get a new watch is what it is. We will plan on a VFL game day on Friday. We will make that up if we're gone on Friday. So VFL is still happening, and I'm going to explain to you kind of some, developments in VFL at the end of our class. But first, I do have a starter question for you. It is the 5th journal, so I'm taking your journal from you at the end of this. I've kept up with mine. You should have kept up with yours. Question here is, I want to hear about all the fake things in your life. I want to hear about your Folkley and your Fucci and your Bad Air Jordans. I want to hear about all the fake stuff you've ever bought in your life. First, write it down. Then I'm going to let you tell your partners, and then you're going to tell me. So go ahead and get after that question.
I did not quite understand the question.
It's gonna be messy.
Because you're just all genuine, James. You don't have any fake in your life?
No, I did not understand the question. The question is,
What are some examples of fake expensive items?
see, that's what confused me.
Knockoff items.
Why couldn't you just say that?
Yeah, there's a great value cereal once.
That's not exactly what I'm going for.
Oh,
Like they try to be expensive, but they are totally fake, knockoff, cheap, whatever.
Oh, I
I mean,
can't
great
say.
value.
What? What's your question? Gas.
It was a rap.
Probably.
Damn, too, that's chips.
What things you like to song for?
No, it's just,
The beat.
yeah, that. And it's kitchen. See, it's kitchen. It's music.
Yeah, I got
Lexi, realistically, if there's a rain out, what's your bus route like? It's usually it's the buses that'll be.
Most of my, like, we drive on the highway to get some back. Arthur Backers. Literally, yeah.
So yours would be one of the, realistically, probably one of the routes that is of concern. James, what's your bus route like?
Okay, so.
Back roads? Dirt roads?
Some dirt road. I live on a dirt road, and I'm like the.
10% on. So we go through all that, and then we go, you know where Blueberry Haven is?
Okay.
Bailey's right there.
That's what'll get school canceled. It's not that we can't be in the building while it's raining.
It's the dirt road.
It's the ability of the buses to get where they need to go.
Hey, if it does rain a little bit, my road will wash out, and there would be,
You wanna know something?
ruts in the road, the size of this table. Cause they do not have how to grade the dang road. What they need to do is just go ahead and pave the stupid road.
All right, sounds like we have answered for ourselves. Turn and tell your partners about all the fake stuff you've ever been suckered into buying.
Bag of chips.
Bag of chips.
You were supposed to get.
Bro, how did I fight Derek?
And especially those. Unless I have one.
That's what'll do us in this.
What
I'm
are
gonna have to
you
take my
eating?
shoes off.
Well,
That's gonna be fun.
Unless
Get a video.
unless
School on Thursday
we don't even
night.
have school.
You're gonna-
All right, tell your partners about your fake stuff.
She had
never
no
done
video.
anything but a fake bag of chips.
Fake bag of
Yeah.
chips.
Yeah,
Where, this?
yeah.
This is fake chips.
He told me he was gonna do the cake.
Gotta be the frying.
Fine print. Oh, that fine print is a good thing. Gotta eat as a true thing for sure.
It's a good day to have a good day.
It's always a good day to have a good day. All right, it seems like we've answered this a little bit. So
Come here.
Do not call on me.
Is this right?
I would argue it's not a wrong answer.
Oh, how about a fake pillow?
What in the world do you buy?
That's fine.
What was it?
Wait, so I can do that? I can make, I thought that's what the question said.
It's my pillow. It's not my pillow.
All right, I'm gonna start with Alexia since she just asked me to look at her answer. Alexia, what are some fake items
Is
you
this
identify?
question even right?
Yeah.
I answered it right?
Yes.
There is no.
What the examples you come up with?
I don't wanna say it.
Just say it.
Say it, say
We
it,
understand.
say it, say it.
Nicole.
She's supposed to answer my question.
Steal or now, I don't think those words are appropriate, inappropriate, but I'm the old guy.
They're not inappropriate.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Okay, B phone for iPhone.
A knockoff iPhone,
Well,
like a Chinese version. You know, you got suckered into trying to buy an iPhone, but in fact it was a knockoff iPhone.
Woodies for hoodies.
Okay, a knockoff, maybe a name brand, like a knockoff name brand, right? If someone's trying to sell you a,
Okay, just say that. I don't know how to say
I'm trying to think what a hoodie brand.
I am fake.
Gucci's a good one to start with, right? If someone's trying to sell you Gucci but it's fake, you can call it Gucci or fake. Or someone trying to sell you Oakleys, but they're knockoff. Sometimes they get called Oakleys,
What is
fake
that?
Oakleys, right?
What is that?
Have you ever bought a knockoff item? You understand what I'm saying now? Like a knockoff item? You ever bought a knockoff item?
Yes, a bag of chips.
I don't think that's the example I'm going with.
Okay, so my headphones right here?
Yeah.
They are not.
Okay, headphones are a great example. Because,
Wait, hold on.
okay,
Cereal, it's named Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but
Just like
it's
great value.
great value. But
But
it
it's
has the
still
same
snack.
name. It's not the same name, but it says cinnamon something like Cinnamon Toast
Yeah.
Squares or something.
there you go.
I'm thinking
Yep.
about food too, so we
But
know
it's
how to
still
talk about
Okay,
it.
or something, it'll be like, instead of Cheerios, it'll be
Yes, ma'am. Fruit Loop,
Wheatos or,
Jacks.
you know.
Those are my favorites.
Yeah, okay. I think we're tracking, right? Sometimes you think you're buying the real thing, but in fact, what you got
Oh,
suckered
I
into
know
is
what's
buying a knockoff.
different.
Or, okay,
Thing.
or sometimes it is a straight up knockoff, and hey, you're just willing to take that because it might look close enough to fool somebody. Here's just a couple of examples. It could be watches. A Rolex is going to cost you how much money?
A lot of money.
A lot of money. I like that number. But a Folex is going to cost you what?
A lot of money, but not as much money.
Probably not as much money. Yeah. Folkleys we talked about. Anybody ever get suckered with Jordans? Fake Air Jordans?
No, I never really seen the point.
Okay, never seen the point. What is now I know that's just a really small picture there, but what is the difference in the fake one?
One has long hair.
The leather.
Oh, the orange,
The
yeah, right.
leather.
Okay, the lack of leather, and then the stitching itself is really poor. It does, yeah, okay, it has some hair instead of that. And the fingers are really bad. On the fake one, the fingers
yeah.
almost look like tentacles. And then on the real versus fake earbuds, now hey, maybe you want the knockoffs. Maybe you want to look like you got the real thing, but you're not willing to pay as much as they're worth. So you go for the knockoff. Maybe on the other hand, you got suckered into buying the knockoff, and you're really mad when you figure out it is a fake. All of these are examples of fakes, and you guys kind of brainstormed a little bit. What is a fake item? Did everybody's fake stuff? Are those real or fake? Those are real. I'm not quite sure what your chip example is. I'm not sure anybody fake chips. I mean, maybe you tricked him. Okay. Whatever. As long as that
That's KW.
For our class conversation today, we'll be talking about what is known as the Gilded Age. And Gilded, the name of the age comes from this quote from Mark Twain. So let's look at this quote real quick. The quote is, "The golden gleam of the gilded surface hides the cheapness of the metal underneath." Do you know what gilded is? Is that a word that you know?
A guild is like a group of people.
That's a GUILD. That's true, right? But gilding is, I doubt that you know, so I'm just going to explain it. It's this fake gold that's right here on my mug. Now, I doubt anyone really thinks that this is a gold rim, but there are some items, that are gold plated and really try to make it look like a gold item. But this gilding, this pin's a good example. This pin is definitely not gold. But if you were to look at it on first glance, you'd be like, ooh, that's a fancy pin. Gilded age refers to the trickery of this time period. I'm not going to do it, but if I took my fingernail and pushed really hard, I could probably rub off some of the gilding here. The Gilded Age is going to refer to, now we're going to see some real wealth. We're going to see some people who are truly rich. But all that sparkles, all that shines, might not be what you think it is. We're going to find out there's a lot of exploitation, a lot of corruption. These people who look rich and are maybe even like donating some of their money, maybe they're not doing it with really good intent in their heart. So we're going to talk about the haves, the have-nots, the rich who have, and the poor who get stomped on. This is all called the Gilded Age, and we'll refer to them as robber barons in our class conversation today. But first, because we got asked up front, I think it's a good thing to do. Let's go ahead and take our pause up front and get into
How do you spell squares?
SQUARES.
True.
Squares. I finally know how to spell that after 6 years.
Thank you.
Let's take our pause up front.
Did you really just say after 6 years?
I sure did. It took me all the way up until
I still can't.
ninth grade before I
I
got
still have
that.
to do a spelling bee. You know how hard that's
No. You're not going to know that spelling bee because I don't know how to spell
Lindy,
it.
if you're still watching, we're about to really get started. Lindy's mom, if you're watching, yes, it's usually like this.
Yeah, I was down $50 the entire time. Yeah.
So, if you ever go to boat rides, you're like, hey, cash. Oh.
All right, that's all of us.
Oh, we're playing Monopoly
Well, Nicole, what is the goal of Monopoly?
to own all the plots.
There you go. That
I love
is
Monopoly,
the
but that's a long
simplest.
game.
It is a long game, and
And that's fine.
our national attention span is just shorter and shorter by the year, so not a lot of people play a whole game of Monopoly anymore. But Nicole nailed it. The point of the game is to own all of the same property. That's what a monopoly is. When one person or business owns all of a single property, they have a monopoly. So what we're going to talk about today is these people who own all of oil, or they own all of steel, or they control all of the railroad. These are the monopolies that we're going to be talking about today, James.
Y'all say that Monopoly is a very long game.
Uh-huh.
Don't want to play for me, because I'll laugh.
You know what's making this class be very longer than it needs to be? Off-topic
I'll
comments.
spend real happy, but I can make it last about 8 hours just in one game.
Yeah, nobody wants to sit with you for 8 hours. Guarantee it.
Do we need to write?
No, hang on. So let me set the stage, and then I will tell you what you need to be writing today. We are in this time of our country, time of our story, right after the Civil War. Industry is on the rise because the North has proved that industry is good. Lots of immigrant labor are influxing into the country. There's new technology, and we talked about some of those inventions last week, but there's new technology that's making for this rapid industrialization. Some people are making a lot of money. These are the people we're going to be talking about today, the haves. The haves who have all the money. Unfortunately, they don't always treat the have-nots very well. These haves are able to control an entire business, an entire industry, and that's what is called a monopoly. Now here's your definition. Write this down. In particular, a monopoly or a trust is an industry where there's little to no competition. I talked last week about needing to be flexible on synonyms. I'm going to call it a monopoly, but some writing or maybe some test could call it a trust. That's the same thing. Okay, monopoly or trust is the same thing. And Nicole, just like you described in the game, whoever owns the property, they control the prices. Now in the game, if you own all the properties, the price goes up. Same thing. Think about this. Here's the analogy I'm going to use several times today. We're in Allen. Let's say we have 10 gas stations. 9 of them are Circle K's. Okay, the big company, the corporation, Circle K. One of them, does everybody know the Forks? Forks 1,
Yes.
23,
Yeah,
right over 1, 2, 3. Let's say Forks is the only gas station in town that's family owned. They like Alma, they're from Alma. They want to keep prices low because they want to serve the people of Alma. But if Circle K keeps lowering its prices, and it's a big company, so we can kind of handle that. Circle K keeps lowering its prices. What does Forks have to do? Lower its prices to keep up. Eventually, Forks is only one business. Eventually, can they keep lowering their prices?
No.
So what is Circle K going to do to them at that point?
Buy out.
Buy out. That is how a big business buys out a small business, by lowering its price till that small business can't hang on anymore, buying them up. Now Circle K owns 10 out of 10. What are they going to do? Jack those prices right back up. That's how the monopolies did during this time period, because there wasn't a lot of government regulation. Just write the definition. Yep, write the definition, and just hear me as I teach you the rest of it. Okay, James?
You're talking about Forks. Well, it's a truck stop, so they'll keep getting money and money, so.
Okay, just, James, hang with my analogy, okay? Not everything is perfect in terms of analogy all the time. They also have really good food. But if their moneymaker, the gas, can't keep them in business, and they go out of business, all of a sudden Circle K now dominates the gas space in Alma. Something else going on this time is that immigrants provided a huge source of cheap labor. The immigrants, they come to America looking for opportunities. They need a job. They are not in a place to say, hey, you better treat me better or I'm going to quit. Because if they quit, guess who's waiting outside the door? Someone else who can.
Someone else to take their place.
Someone else who's looking for a job to take their place is the correct answer. So they weren't in a position to demand better treatment because someone else would just come on in. Laissez-faire. Here's a term that you got to understand. Now, there's not a place for it on your notes, but you got to understand. The government at this time was known as laissez-faire. Laissez-faire is a French phrase. Did you know this was a language class?
Yes.
Yeah.
French phrase that means hands off. So I want you to think of it as parenting. If your parents are laissez-faire, do you have a curfew?
Oh,
No. If your parents are laissez-faire, they're like, hey man, you get in whenever works for you. All right, you big kid now, you get in whenever works for you. Could that lead to you making poor decisions?
Yes.
no.
Good. But laissez-faire parenting is hands off. Now, how about maybe for younger children? Okay, I got a 6-year-old, right? Younger children. If I'm laissez-faire and I say, hey, feed yourself tonight, whatever you want, what's the kid gonna eat?
Pizza and chips.
Pizza, chips,
Candy.
Ice cream.
candy, and ice
Chocolate.
cream. Yeah, probably what I was thinking. If Sayla, Sayla busts in here, she's gonna be here today. If Sayla had her own choice about what to eat, she would not eat good food. That's laissez-faire parenting. Is that good?
No.
That's not very good. But now the other side is too much hands-on, too restrictive. Good government's kind of in the middle. During this time in our country, and not today, but during this time in our country, our government was very hands-off. That led to very few people having power, and most of those laborers not really having a lot of protections. There were not any protections for how many hours a day you could work. There were not protections for child labor. There was not protections for safety. A lot of these factories were very dangerous, and there was no laws that said that the corporations had to make them safer. So the haves kept getting richer, the have-nots kept getting oppressed. The people who were the haves, the business leaders, were known as robber barons, and I'm going to elaborate on that here in just a second as well. This is laissez-faire, which is everything I just said about hands-off, okay? So I'm not going to elaborate on that again. This picture right here, we're going to look at several pictures in this next 30 minutes together or so. Picture right here kind of demonstrates what the businesses were doing at the time. What is the animal we see in this picture? An octopus. So octopus has its tentacles, and I'll just tell you, this is oil. Okay, this is the oil industry. The octopus and its fine little tentacles are reaching out towards what?
Everything.
Everything, but what in particular are we seeing?
Government.
The government. So it's already gobbled up Congress, the courts. What's next?
The White House.
White House. That's right. And the title of the picture itself is called Next. It's as if to say, coming for all of you, okay? Political influence and the little guy, whoever you are, we are going to gobble you all up. So this octopus picture is pretty notable to kind of describe what these businesses were doing at that time. What's that? What's your question?
Who's that?
Where? In the face?
No.
This?
Yeah, what's that?
That's laborers. That's just the workers, right? They got gobbled up. Good question. This is the time period we're in. So one more picture for you here. What do you think they said? What is this guy run by?
Money.
He's got his mind on his money and his money on his mind. I can keep rapping if you want me to every time. Nope. He's got his mind on his money, right? He's run by money. This is what the big businesses were run by. A robber baron is a negative term for these business leaders. If someone's a robber, what do? They steal from you. These guys would prefer to be called captains of industry. Right? If you're a captain of industry, you're probably a good guy. History, however, has labeled these guys robber barons because what they have done is they're kind of stealing from the poor and giving to themselves, for that matter. So robber barons, that's a negative term. What they did was they used exploitative practices to get what they wanted. They got into the government. Yeah, write this down under robber barons. They got into the government and they started influencing Congress and the president. They paid their workers extremely low wages, okay? For the amount of work that was being done, it was basically servitude. They squashed their competition. In the example that I gave you, Forks 1, 2, 3, got squashed by the big guy. That was the robber baron. And finally, they were the monopoly, okay? These robber barons were the monopoly. They were able to buy out their competitors, jack up the prices, everything that we said about monopolies. The robber barons were the leader of each monopoly. And we're going to talk about 4 of them today. If you look at your picture, you see 4. Look at your page, you see 4 pictures. That's what we're going to talk about today.
I guess you would say kind of like the Illuminati.
Kind of like the Illuminati, you might say. My VFL team called the Illuminati over here.
Oh, I see you took the picture.
Next, I'm going to tell you how they did this. And on your notes, you see vertical and horizontal integration. That is how they had a monopoly. So it's important to understand how they actually went about doing this. And there is a sketch to be done here. I want you to make sure you know what is vertical and what is horizontal. So as soon as I see pencils done, I will.
We'll go to the stuff.
Bro. Alex, answer that question for me.
Okay, I didn't see it up there.
It's okay. It's literally what I just said. I said I'm about to get to.
Not bad, I was right.
That's fair.
Yeah, right, I don't stuff out.
Hold on, I spelled competition wrong. I spelled it with an O. I say competition. That's how I say it in my head sometimes when I'm spelling it, and it makes it. Yeah.
All right, so to answer James' question again, no, we haven't talked about the two types of integration. That is the how. And in a second here, I'm going to explain each of them to you. Here's the first one. What is vertical? Okay, is vertical up and down or left and right? Vertical is up and down. Right? So if you're building something vertically, it's up, down, from the ground to the sky, that's vertical. So in this example here, right down that top, okay, that is the definition. Vertical integration is controlling the whole industry from start to finish, from the raw material to the final sale. The example in the picture, and I want you to sketch something similar to this, all right? I want you to be able to sketch it vertically. If you have a monopoly on the beef industry in a vertical integration, it would be like this. You own everything from the cow that is born to the steak that goes to my table. You take the cow and you own the farm. Okay, you're the owner of the farm, you're the owner of the actual cows. You own the transportation system that takes it to the slaughterhouse. You own the slaughterhouse that actually cuts the cow up into various cuts of meat. If it travels to the grocery store, you own that transportation as well. And when it arrives at the grocery store, guess who owns the grocery store? You do. And when that steak is sold at the checkout counter, who makes money on that steak? Me. I make money at every step in the process. Vertical integration is owning every step in the process of a particular industry. This is how some of these guys made their money. Vertical integration. That's just one example. You could talk about steel, you could talk about oil, but I gave the example of the steak here. Just draw a line that's up and down. All right, draw a line that's vertical. Draw a line that's vertical.
Where at?
Next to vertical integration. The next how is called horizontal integration. So what direction is horizontal?
Sunrise.
Left, right, the horizon line of a sunset or a sunrise. So horizontal integration is side to side. Here's how horizontal integration works. It means owning every similar type of business. Not every step in the process, but every gas station. All right. I might not own the oil well that's digging. I might not own the transportation. I might not own the refinery, but I own every single gas station from here to the coast. That is a monopoly on gas stations because I own every single one. If I own them, I don't have any competitors. What can I do to the price? I can set that price wherever I want to because they're all my gas stations. I'm only competing with myself. So I can jack that price up. This is horizontal integration. I might not own other steps of the process, but I own every similar type of business across the board. Just draw yourself a side-to-side line to reflect horizontal integration.
That would kind of be smart to jack all the prices up. If you own like 10 gas stations in each county, that's the only 10 there is. You jack 9 of them up, they're all going to come to that one, which means you're going to make more money overall.
That's exactly right, James. Bottom line, that's exactly right. That's yeah. Sorry. That's exactly what a monopoly is.
So you leave one really low, make all the others really high, and then the one that's really low, they're going to keep going to it and going to it and going to it. You're going to make it more and more and more.
No, I see what you're saying now. They wouldn't leave one really low. That's,
Not really low, but lower than all the others. Cheaper than the other gas stations.
All right, I took out a couple slides just for the purpose of our flow. You're welcome.
Thank you. Didn't have nobody else to go say it.
Are we good on the two types of integration? The guys we're going to talk about, they use both of these, okay? There's no single way to gain a monopoly. Some were horizontal, they owned all the same style of business. Some were vertical, they owned every step in the business. Some was a blend of each. But these guys, once you're the biggest kid on the block, can anyone start competing with you?
Nope.
You're just going to stay the biggest kid on the block. So once they gained a monopoly, it was really hard for anyone else to even try to compete. Here's one picture. We'll look at just this one.
Yeah.
I will tell you that these guys down below, this is the United States Senate. What size are they compared to the rest of the people?
Oh,
They're pretty small.
no, they got.
So if the senators are small, who then is large in the picture here?
The money.
Yeah, all the people with money. So and if you look at it, you see there's steel, copper, oil, iron, sugar, all these different industries. So the different sizes, the small picture, the large dominant in the picture, who would you say is in charge in this picture?
Still.
The fat cats, right? The ones with money. But wait a second, have they been elected to office? Are they our representatives in Congress?
No.
What do you think that they're doing to our representatives in Congress? Bossing them around or buying them off.
I
You're
would say
exactly right.
buying them, bribing them.
Bribing, buying, influencing, yes, you're right. And if you look to the top here, here's a door and it says close. Can you see who's supposed to come through that door? Can you read that?
The president.
It says the people's entrance. Wait a second, I'm the people. Am I allowed to come into the Senate right here?
No.
In this picture, no. It's saying that it's closed door dealing, it's a little bit shady. Those who have money have influence, and the regular people like me, not even welcome in. So this just goes to show who was dominant at the time. It was the robber barons, not even the politicians. Here's something to point out right now. Look at your picture, look at your page, and you see four pictures, right? How many of those men are on my president's wall?
Cornelia.
How many of those men are also presidents? Answer is none. This is a time period where the robber barons are more powerful and more influential than the president. So we got a gap in the president's wall. I don't have every president up here. We got a gap in the president's wall. That's not to say we didn't have a president. We just didn't have a very strong president. Because what was their parenting attitude at the time? So hands-off, laissez-faire parenting or government. So these guys we're about to talk about were more powerful than even was the president. That's pretty significant for this time period. All right, Andrew Carnegie. He's the first one we are going to talk about. He's the first one we're going to talk about. So a little bit about him. What I want you to do is write the first slide for each of these guys, and I'm just going to tell you a little bit more. So write down what's on here under Andrew Carnegie. The word philanthropy, we'll get to that in just a second, okay? He's a Scottish immigrant, kind of significant that he wasn't born here. So as we talk about other immigrants contributing to America, he's definitely one of the immigrants that made a name for himself in America. His family comes over before the Civil War, and he kind of comes of age during the Civil War. His family is involved in the iron industry, which is going to set the stage for him to get involved in the steel industry. Iron is not as strong as steel. Iron is also very heavy. So Carnegie, he goes about working a new scientific process, which is called the Bessemer process, to make a stronger and cheaper metal, which is going to be called steel. So in a way, he earned his position. Some of these other guys, I don't think they really earned their position as much as they were born into it. But Carnegie, he earns his position by actually being a bit of a scientist in order to make this new thing called steel. Now, steel is really normal to us today, right? We got a bunch of steel. But at the time, steel was a new thing. But think about this. What needed steel in the country? Trains, big one. Buildings, we're growing. Guns aren't made out of steel necessarily, but anything being built upward or a structure or a train track, steel. Steel was in demand. So because steel was in demand, he got lucky, right? He had the right product at the right time. He founds his company's Carnegie Steel Company, and he gets very, 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 very rich because of it. Very, very, very rich. Now, on the other side of his life, He is involved in something called philanthropy, which is giving away your money. We'll
I
talk about
cannot seem how to spell that. I'm like wrapped around the two letters and I keep going back and keep
Which
going
ones?
forward and I just,
philanthropy.
yeah, I keep going back.
I
and
got
keep
you.
going
The
forward on
F sound is
N's.
with a PH.
I
The
got
N
you.
and the H is flipping me.
I got you. P,
Okay,
H,
okay.
I love all autocorrect
L.
over here.
A, N, T, H, R, O, T, I, S, T.
There you go.
Space.
All right, James, that's good. That's enough.
Thank you.
There you go. I'll talk about philanthropy here in just a second. I'll give you that full definition. For each of these guys, I want us to look at their home because I want you to see how opulent their living was. You know, how regal all of their living was. You know, you go really in depth into that. We're not going to look at anything more than just their home. This is his mansion in New York City. And you got to imagine, these guys didn't have anything else to do with their money other than buy land and build homes. There wasn't a lot of travel to do in the day. There wasn't a lot of other luxury items. So how they expressed their wealth was by having huge mansions. And this is Andrew Carnegie's mansion in New York City. I think it's still there today. You can go visit it as a tourist attraction. Here's the back half of his life, the philanthropy piece. Something that distinguishes him from
Right,
the
all of
other, something that, just hang on for a second. Something that distinguishes him from the other robber barons was that later in his life, he gives away his money. He is not one who just made money till the day he died. I think he kind of got convicted later in his life. He got convicted about, did he treat people right? Was he always the best boss? And he did, as good as it is that he made a lot of money, or you could say, okay, he made a lot of money, he stomped on a lot of people to get there. Okay, a lot of the immigrants weren't treated well as they were laboring. So philanthropy is giving away his money. And here's the definition. Here's what I want you to write about philanthropy. Right? This comes from the dictionary, so this is the actual dictionary definition. Philanthropy is the desire to promote welfare for others, especially by giving generous donations to good causes.
So we'll put that aside.
Write that whole definition. Come on, fellas, let's get through this.
Beside it.
Later in his life, he writes this book called The Gospel of Wealth. And what he says is, if you're rich, you have a burden to give back to society. Kind of sounds like one of my favorite Marvel characters.
Iron Man.
No.
Oh.
What does Peter Parker say about responsibility? With great power comes great responsibility. So isn't that kind of like what you think Andrew Carnegie says here? If you have a lot of money, you have to give back to the people around you. What? What's your no? No, you're going to say something.
Can you go back and go like
It's the same stuff. Uncle Ben says it. You're right. It's not Peter Parker, it's Uncle Ben. And then Uncle Ben dies, and the whole story happens based off of that. Good. That is true. That is true.
That happens because it's fighting.
So the Gospel of Wealth, something else he says, I'm going to read you a quote, and while you're writing, I'm going to read you this quote here. I think as an older man, he got reflective. I think he realized that he spent a lot of his life maybe stomping on other people. So as an older man, he got reflective. He says this: the first third of your life, you should focus on getting as much education as you can. The second third of your life, make as much money as you can. The third third of your life, give it all away. What do you think about that quote?
Pretty good.
What phase are you in right now?
Learning.
You're in the first third. So he would say, get as much education as you can. High school, college, maybe even a graduate degree, life experience, whatever that is, right? In the first third of your life, gain as much education as you can. Me, I'm kind of barely into my second third. And if you consider the average lifespan to be 25 years, right? I'm in my second third, 75 years, which makes each third 25 years. I'm in my second third, and I am not following his advice because I am definitely not making a lot of money right now on my public school teacher's salary. But he would say, hey, that second third of your life, it's time to do some business, time to make a lot of money. The third third of your life is when you can reflect on what you've accomplished and give all that money away. Now me, I'm probably not going to have a lot of money to give away, but I do, I give to my church, I give to my community the best I can. But you may think about that. Maybe that changes the course of your life a little bit because you want to be a philanthropist in that regard.
Iron Man was a philanthropist.
Iron Man was a philanthropist. That's true. That's right. He was a benefactor, a philanthropist. Here's kind of his actual quote. And history records it a little bit differently. I spent the first half of my life making money and the second half of my life giving it away. Do the most good. and the least harm. Or if you break it down to the thirds, it's the education, money, philanthropy, philosophy there. And that is exactly what he did. His maximum net worth, he was worth $475 million. It is estimated he gave away $350 million. When he died, he only had $30 million to his name. Now, I know $30 million, right? That's a lot. But what he gave away was about 90%. Okay, so by percentages, that's giving away, yeah, that's being pretty generous, giving away a lot of money overall. Who are some, I just spoiled it, who are some philanthropists in the world today?
Jeffy Bezos.
Bezos is up there for sure. I spoiled it by showing you some pictures. Who else comes to mind as someone who gives away money?
That lady on there that was doing this.
Zuckerberg, whatever it is.
Zuckerberg, yeah, he has money and he does give it away. Elon Musk is a philanthropist, absolutely. What about some females?
That's so hard. Did you just say Carrie Underwood?
Hey, Oklahoma girl, I love her. I'm not sure if she's a mega philanthropist. But philanthropy comes in different ways. It doesn't have to be just cash.
What's her name?
You can give up your time. You can give up, maybe you run a charitable
Oh,
organization.
there's this one name hidden on the tip of my tongue.
James, who's the one that you're trying to say?
I don't know.
I said Michelle Obama.
The Obamas, I'll buy that. I'll buy
I
that.
don't know.
Yeah,
But there was some lady on there. She was black, but she was on there. That lady go.
Nicole, who's that?
Oh, Beyonce.
She has a talk show. She gives away cars. Something.
Beyonce.
Oh.
Bill Gates.
Come on, my third block got it. Oprah.
Oh.
No, I just said it.
Oprah. Bill Gates is up there. He's dabbing you up. And Darren, what was the first one you said? If Lindy, this one's exactly for you. John Bon Jovi is up there. He's an 80s rocker. He's not known for giving away a lot of cash, but he's known for running.
Be happy, Lindy.
He has financed and started a lot of soup kitchens. So philanthropy can be a lot of things. It doesn't just have to be cash. These are some modern day philanthropists, and just kind of round out Carnegie with a couple of pictures showing how much money he gave away, etc. All right, Andrew Carnegie. Here's how you can remember him. Okay, you know I come up with these cutesy things for the key points you need to remember. Cars are made from steel. Carnegie is the steel man. Cars are made from steel. He's the captain of the steel industry. Okay, he's the robber baron for steel. So that is one way to remember it. And we don't have the most athletic class here, but I think you guys might know a little bit about football. He's also he's responsible for the growth of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is known as the Steel City. And how is that a part of sports?
The
NFL.
The NFL team is called the Pittsburgh Steelers. So they're not called the Pittsburgh Andrew Carnegies, but for all intents and purposes, they are named after him because he made Pittsburgh the Steel City. So the Steelers, being from Pittsburgh, kind of a hat tip to his legacy. So cars are made from steel. Andrew Carnegie, steel. That's how you should remember it. Deal? Deal. Moving on. Vanderbilt. I'm not going to hang out with him quite as long, but I like to talk about him because it shows how his family, it shows how some of these family names are still in the world today. What do you know about Vanderbilt? It's a college, and yes, the college has a football team, which is in the SEC and plays Georgia sometimes, right? So Vanderbilt University is the namesake of Cornelius Vanderbilt. Cornelius Vanderbilt is a rail yard man, shipping and railroads. He has the vertical integration where he owns every step of the process. He owned the company laying the track. He owned the rail cars. He owned the locomotives. He owned the train stations. He owned the towns that popped up around train stations. So if you were shipping something, you were shipping it with Cornelius Vanderbilt. So he made money in every step of the process as it related to trains. So that is what that is what he's notable for. That's how he made his money. Darren, you mentioned Vanderbilt University. Do you know their team mascot? Like we're the Georgia Bulldogs. Do you know what they are? Anybody? Kind of a military term, but it's not a military school.
Tank.
No.
Tanks.
Why would it be a
Tanks.
Why would it be a
Was
tank?
they named
They
after?
are, huh?
Was they named after?
They are, yeah. So they are the Vanderbilt Commodores. And you see that picture there? It's a Navy word, a naval rank, because he was the Commodore. So Vanderbilt is directly named after him, and that is how, some of these family names are still around in the world today. You guys are like, oh, boring history class. Ooh, SEC football, all right.
I'm just-
Not really.
Alexia's
I
like,
don't like football.
I
Alex
just
is
don't
like,
like that team.
Alex is like, where's the food?
want some Subway, man.
I'm
Some
really
Subway, man.
Subway is nasty.
Fresh, baby.
I need to text my mom to see if she can come pick me up because I can't remember.
All right. Vanderbilt, he is of the very famous Biltmore Estate. Has anybody ever heard of this? This is considered the largest, most opulent mansion in America. It's in North Carolina. If you've ever been to visit, it's basically a touristy thing today. You can have your wedding there, you can have a reception there, whatever. But at the time, all of this was for one family, was for one man. I know Miss Rozier has been, okay, she's taught the class with me before, and she talks about her visit to the Biltmore Estate. So this is all, again, from the Vanderbilt family, the Biltmore Estate. It's just a name that's synonymous with wealth, right? If you're talking about the Biltmore Estate, you're talking about a lot of money, and that is the Vanderbilt.
Did somebody buy that?
I bet it's really invested in the family estate.
Honeymoon, everything.
Everything's for sale there. Everything's for sale.
You like Subway?
Could I buy it?
Do you like Subway?
You like
You fresh, baby? So the Subway
That's-
Series
that's-
2022.
that's
Let's
nasty.
go.
Subway is
Let's
nasty.
go.
I just claimed it from the.
This picture right here. Now this
Subway.
is not
Yes.
just Vanderbilt, the man, but this kind of
Especially
speaks of the whole
cookies.
era. So Nicole, who do we have tied to the stake here? I'm coming to you next. Who's tied to the stake here? It's on his belt.
It's a workman.
Workman, a worker, right? A worker is tied to the stake. Now, Omar, what is the stake?
Steak.
It's good.
It's
Oh,
also labeled.
I know what it is.
Monopoly.
People. No, I know what it
Monopoly.
Nicole, what is
is.
it?
Monopoly.
Yeah, so the worker is tied to the stake of the monopoly, okay, whichever business it is, he's tied to the stake of the monopoly. Who then is fanning the flames?
Oh,
The other people.
whatever you call it. What do you call
Yeah,
it?
all these guys, the robber barons, these
Yeah,
guys that we've been talking about are the ones contributing to that heat that is literally burning him alive, right? A lot of these laborers, they live really bad lives, okay? They didn't get paid a lot, it's literally day to day. They didn't know if they'd come home at night with all their fingers, because a lot of these factory machines were very dangerous and lopped off fingers and hands, okay? Big issues in the workforce, and the rich guys are the ones that were contributing to it. Now, listen, we're talking about 4 of them today. I don't want you to think there's only 4. This picture here shows more than 4 because there were more than just 4 rich guys, but we're talking about the big 4 overall. So I just want you to keep that in mind. That's kind of like the overall attitude of the time period. 2 more people to get through. Here we go. J.P. Morgan, what stands out to you about him?
JP.
Oh.
His
Big- A
nose.
big old schnoz, yeah.
JP.
I want you to keep that in mind because I'm gonna talk about that here in just a second as well. J.P. Morgan was the bank man. Okay, we've had the steel man, the rail man. J.P. Morgan is the bank man. He didn't have an industry all unto himself. He had the banking industry. Okay, he had the money. With his money, he actually purchases Carnegie Steel. So he buys that from Andrew Carnegie. He kind of like, he rounds out Andrew Carnegie's life by giving him one more check. And he makes it called U.S. Steel. So he didn't make the steel business by himself, but he bought it and then he made it even greater. He was so rich, he bails out the U.S. government at one point in his life. He loaned money to the United States government.
So like,
Think about it. The government is about to go bankrupt. And this guy says, hey, need a loan? And he loans the government money. That's how rich he was. He was rich enough to bail the government out. So that just speaks to how wealthy he is. And then he did create a company of his own. He created GE. I bet you have some GE in your house right now. Do you know if you do?
Gee.
GE is a company and they make appliances. So do you know if you have a GE appliance in your house right now?
I have an LG.
I have a microwave.
That could be, James. GE stands for General Electric. And Nicole, don't freak out. Here's the logo. Does that ring a bell now?
Where you go back?
I will. Now, okay, this one right here, 2004 logo. What does that look like to you? A lot of students say an H.
No, it looks like something like
G.
off of a.
G.
Bruh.
E.
E. Now you see it? All right, it's not H, it's G. So what does GE sell? Having seen this logo before,
Glasses.
they sell dishwashers, dryers, air conditioners, microwaves, refrigerators. I bet you have some GE
Oh,
in your
my
house.
Oh, I have a fan.
I bet you have some
I have
GE in
an
your house.
AC.
And you can thank JP Morgan for being the creator of GE.
Dang.
So,
It's
I'll
not my
I'll let y'all finish writing.
I'm a fan in the AC, so I'm.
That's also kind of notable in the picture, I agree. Darren is the first one all day to point out the girl and her smile.
My teeth.
I'm not trying to make my brother look bad, but those teeth, they would have a little bit more, nose
Yeah.
space in it.
Size.
Those teeth and that entire face is my brother.
I don't know what to do with that. Are we there yet?
No.
When he smiles, it looks like this.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
No.
Just sit there. I've done too.
We're there. It's always easier. Second
All
block.
right, JP Morgan's New York City residence. Now, this was the smallest of the homes we've talked about so far. Do you feel bad for him?
Nope.
He has the smallest home. Poor, sad, multimillionaire has such a small home.
He's humble.
Guess what? Don't be sad for him. He has his own island as well. He literally bought a private island. Yeah, right. So again, these guys didn't have anything else to do with their money other than purchase these status symbols. So he expressed his wealth by purchasing his own island. Here's a picture to analyze again. So the main figure here is JP Morgan. Who else do we see in the picture?
Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam.
There you go. Okay, Uncle Sam representing the United States government. Now the rowboat, let's say that we're all in the rowboat together. Okay, it's the journey that we're all on. If we're all in this together, who is in charge based on this picture?
Big old man, what's the, Robert Burns?
JP Morgan. It's saying that JP Morgan was running the U.S. government. Is he the president? He is not. Okay, he's not on our president's wall. But in this time period where the government was very hands-off, they were not regulating a lot of businesses. These guys were more powerful than the president. So what it's saying here is JP Morgan is more powerful than even Uncle Sam. Now, those Crocs, I think they're clogs, is what they're called. Let's go back to that very first picture. What stood out to you? His big old schnoz. Check this out. JP Morgan suffered from a condition called rosacea. You familiar with rosacea?
Nope.
It is a skin condition which kind of makes your skin red, maybe bumpy, maybe rashy. It's not just on your nose. It could be, a lot of times it's in the crook of your arm or behind your knee. JP Morgan suffered from rosacea on his face. He also had a condition called rhinophyma, which means your nose just never stops growing, which is why he has the big old schnoz. Here's my take here. No matter how much money you have, you can't change what you can't change. He hated how he looked. He hated having his photo taken. It doesn't matter how rich he was, he still had dissatisfaction about part of himself. So it doesn't matter how rich you are, there are still going to be things in life that you can't change. Money is not the answer to joy or happiness. JP Morgan had it all, and still he hated having his photo taken because of his nose and because of how he looked. So I just give that to you as a little bit of a life advice. One more picture for you here. Now this is when he was younger. This was before he had his rosacea problems. Who does he kind of look like here? Something we've kind of already talked about today.
Oh,
We have.
from Spider-Man.
Not the guy from Spider-Man.
He looks like it because of the mustache.
Oh, you got it close.
Oh,
Ooh.
yeah, I can't think.
Come on, Ezzy.
Heel.
I don't know. I don't know
Five.
his name.
You don't see it.
I don't
You
know
don't
it.
see the heel.
How about this guy?
J. Jonah James. Oh,
Oh, he's the Monopoly man.
I also J. Jonah James.
Yeah, I hear that. JP Morgan is, and this is not just a coincidence, when they made the Monopoly game, they
Oh,
modeled
that
this,
is referenced off.
they modeled this character after him. So he literally is the Monopoly man, that character right there. You want to play some Monopoly now? That's what we want to do?
Can we do that?
That'd be fun, but no.
I can break one.
James says it takes 8 hours to play Monopoly.
That's with me.
That's with James.
All right, one more. Let's round it out. We're doing pretty good. Let's round it out. John D. Rockefeller. Have you ever, what does the name Rockefeller mean to you? Have you ever heard that phrase?
He's like a rock, and he's also a feller.
Yeah, you guys are a little young.
Rockefeller.
Rockefeller is synonymous with wealth. All right, so if you're rolling with the Rockefellers, that's a phrase that means you're hanging out with the rich kids, right? Rockefeller is synonymous with being rich because John D. Rockefeller was the richest man in the history of the world. He's an oil man. His company is called Standard Oil. Here's something interesting about that. He came along at actually, I'm going to save that point. His company is called Standard Oil. His leadership and his business, and he wasn't always a good guy. He's often called a kind of cruel and conniving and very brutal to his workers. But all of that makes him the richest man in the history of the world. Adjust that for inflation, he had $400 billion. Today, Elon has about 303. Bezos has about 320. So neither of them in today's dollars has the same amount of money as John D. Rockefeller had. He is the richest man on the face of the planet. Yeah. JP Morgan had significantly less than John D. Rockefeller, right? As rich as he was, he still had significant. Yeah. I can't even fathom the amount of wealth that these guys have.
Shoot.
How did he make his money? He made his money by having every oil refinery in the country. Okay, so my example about every gas station in Alma, that was basically him. At one time, he owned 90% of the country's oil. Literally, if you were buying oil, 9 out of 10 chance that you were buying oil from him. So hardly anyone else even had a chance to get into the oil game.
Oh, these names do go to test.
These names are important. Yeah, these names are going to be on
So
the test.
we're gonna have to know who that
Okay.
is.
So,
That's right. Hang on to that.
if that dude had that much money, and we bought the Louisiana purchase
Can you
for
go
like,
back real quick?
for 15 grand,
Million.
million,
By
whatever,
Louisiana, 15 million.
um,
Which adjust that.
which
is more than
is,
that.
which is grand pretty much to him.
Uh-huh.
What is the odds of the country taking that 4 million and then just giving the country to him?
In the back.
He said a lot of different numbers there.
You said 4 million.
Well, okay, James, let's put it this way. If the land had been available, maybe he could have purchased all of it.
He would.
But it wasn't available because it's already been governed by the United States, right? I mean, we all come along at our time in
You
history.
keep me with that.
If he came along at a different time in history, maybe it would have been different. Actually, James, that leads me to my very next point. He came along right on time. His business, oil, guess what? 30 years earlier, oil wouldn't have mattered. Why?
We use steam.
Because there were no cars that needed oil. He comes along right at the rise of the automobile. He comes along right as the world starts needing oil. Oil was the new necessity. So he has this like perfect collision course with history. If he'd have found oil earlier than he found it, maybe it wouldn't have even mattered because we didn't even have cars that needed it. But he finds it at the exact right time. He builds his empire at the exact right time, and he gets rich because of it. Here's a quote from him. Now you could dive into a lot of quotes, but I think this is a good life one. He says, if your only goal is to become rich, you will never achieve it. He also has another quote that says, you know what's enough to a rich guy? $1 more. He's saying that it's not about the money. It can't be, right? Because if you just want to be rich, what is rich? What is enough? Like the next thing, the next thing is always going to be what you want. But if your goal is to accomplish something, if your goal is to make a difference, if your goal is to be better, make the world better around you, maybe that'll be enough for you. So I just give that to you. Listen, a lot of times I see young people say they want to make a lot of money, right? Athletes want to go to the NFL and make money, or the NBA and make money. It ain't about that, right? If your only goal is to be rich, you will never be happy. You will never achieve it. Here's his house, similar to all our other characters. Obviously, he has a big house. Bring you back to this one. Before, you might not have understood that this was oil. This was John D. Rockefeller. Now you can understand. The octopus in the middle there, it says, what does it say?
Standard Oil.
Standard Oil.
I seen it earlier.
So it represents John D. Rockefeller. And remember what it's called? Next. What are they? What is it going to gobble up?
The White House.
Basic, political influence. So John D. Rockefeller, is his face on my wall? A president, it is not, but was he more powerful than the president?
Yes.
Arguably so. Arguably so. One more picture for you here. Obviously, at the center of the picture is Rockefeller, and he's kind of peering down at. Who do you think that is? Yeah, that's the White House. He's like peering down at the president. This is the Capitol, right? And on the Capitol lawn is barrels and barrels and barrels of oil. It's showing that John D. Rockefeller is more powerful than the president. Question? Who was the president? So Taft, Cleveland, Harrison, I think is in there. He asked a great question. Who was president at the time? It's a series of presidents. It's about 6 presidents in a row that I don't want to say they didn't matter, but they weren't influential. Yeah. Were they the president of the United States? Yes. Were they influential enough to make it into our class? No. No. Good question. All right. So listen, Alex said something good about 2 minutes ago. He said, bro, am I going to have to remember all of this? I don't know if he said bro. But yes, I need you to remember these 4, and here's the way you can remember Rockefeller. Oil is drilled from rocks. Rockefeller is the oil man. Oil is drilled from rocks. So 4 people we talked about today. The first one, cars are made from steel. That's Carnegie steel. The second one, Vanderbilt, is the railway. Okay, I don't have a better way for that one. The third one, J.P. Morgan, is the banker man, and his big old schnoz. You just might remember like a big old bank account. And then the fourth one, I do have a good way for you to remember that. Oil is drilled from rocks. Rockefeller is the oil man. So I give you these cheeky little ways to remember it so that when it matters, you can distinguish between the 4 guys. Last unit, it was battles. This unit, you got to remember certain people. You got to remember what they did. All right, let me round it out for us. We're almost there. You may be despaired for the little guy right now. You may think, wow, it doesn't look very good for the little guy right now. Low wages, terrible work conditions, that hands-off government policies, those laissez-faire policies. We clearly have a battle between the haves and the have-nots. The rich just keep getting richer. Doesn't look very good for the little guy right now, does it? Does it, Nicole? No, it doesn't, but. Ooh, there's always a but. Here's the big but. Next up, we're going to talk about the progressive era. James, break that word apart for me. What's in it? Progressive. What word is in there?
Pro.
Pro. What else?
Yes.
Put those 2 words together.
Progress.
Progress. Okay, the progressive era, we're going to talk about progress. We're going to have workers come together in a labor union. We're going to see them use their strength to strike. And we are going to meet the one president that is notable in this unit, the Trust Buster. Anybody know his name? His picture's on the screen. Who is that? Theodore Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt. So
He kind of does look like.
there you have it. That is so we walked through a low point for workers, but we're working towards a high point when we meet Teddy Roosevelt come tomorrow. All right, we got plenty of time in here, and I need you to keep paying attention to me. Here's what we're gonna do. VFL, VFL, VFL. That's right, James. VFL.
I heard we won.
I feel like we're having a pretty good time with the VFL. I think you guys are engaged and having fun. And I also think that you want to be here on Friday so that you don't miss your game. Other than James piecing out on his team. So what you might notice is I've got a scoreboard in the room. This is my first block. This is you guys. I also have a scoreboard outside the room. So if you want to be the winner from week to week, you better study so that you can show off and taunt the other team. Boys taunt girls, girls taunt boys. Here is. Everybody got this half page for right now, right? A half page for right now?
Yeah.
All right. Here is the challenge for the week. This is not written on the page, so pay attention. If all four, well, it's not 3 for you guys. If all of the members of your team wear your team's primary color, I'll go plus 3 points. So that's all 4 boys that are present. All. I really want y'all to be here, but if all of you who are present wear your primary color, I'll give you plus points. So for you guys, what color is that?
Black.
Black. For y'all, what color is that? Purple. We'll go with purple as the primary and black as the active, right? Black, Purple, if you're wearing that as a primary color, which I know y'all talked about it last week, right? I'll give you +3. Here's another one. If you come up front and as a team, break down the team cheer or chant, whatever that is for you, I'll give you +2. So more than just the words, you can now earn points for doing extra along the way as well. So that's up to you to chat about, up to you to text about, remind each other to wear the right clothes, come up with a chant, etc. That is something that you can get points for.
Yeah, let's see if we can do it.
Well, that's for game day. Okay, that's our next game day, whatever the game day is. Here's one more thing I want from you. I want you to name a team captain. I don't have to hear it right now, but on our next Friday, I want you to name a team captain. If you need to vote on it, you can vote on it. If you need to rock, paper, scissors, you can rock, paper, scissors. But whoever the team captain is someone that I'm going to look towards whenever I need to hand out papers or rally with your team, something like that. Okay, team captain, it's an honor. Don't just choose don't choose it lightly. It should be someone that you can trust. Okay. All right, and then right now, what I want you to do is I want you as a team to look at your words for the week. Hey, hear me on this. We got 20 minutes in this class now, so hear me on this. I know you're getting organized, but just pay attention. I want you to study your words for a few minutes. Okay, I'm gonna put a timer on the clock. When I'm done with that timer, it'll probably be like 5 minutes. When I'm done with that timer, one person from each team is going to come up and we're going to do what I call the 2-minute drill. What that means is from any word on this list, I'm going to say it and you have to define it verbally, okay? It doesn't have to be perfect, but verbally define it. You're going to do as many as you can in 2 minutes. You can say pass, but right now you need to help each other get ready to do this 2-minute drill, okay? So Alexa, put 7 minutes on the clock. Rick. Alexa, put 7 minutes on the timer.
He's going over for his time.
You ever get tripped up with Alexia? All right, 7 minutes to get ready for the 2-minute drill. 7 minutes for the 2-minute drill.
We're missing one person.
Please.
Oh, so you said please. 2-minute drill, you're going to stare into the camera. Mindy, you can do this at home.
Does it look like you're on this?
The Pony Express.
The type of trains. Do you know that?
Thomas Edison.
Yes. Thomas Edison?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's barbed wire.
It's the wire.
No, it is literally wire. There's more wire that's wrapped around the trumpet. And it also came from
It's the couch.
it came from ground.
Don't chat with each other. Y'all can help each other out, and then you get to decide who's coming up.
This was Ferguson. I heard that. This is
Awful. It's awful.
Monopoly.
Awfully. That's pretty much self-explanatory already. Yeah. What's Monopoly? Andrew Carson.
So like, are you asking a question and we answer?
I'm gonna ask you to define. I'm just gonna say the word. Right? Up to this line. So up to this line, up to Rockefeller. I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna say the word. And you define it.
Oh, steel.
Philanthropy.
Give him like two cherries.
Drawing.
They are discovered.
Jane Adams. Jane Adams. I went over these
We don't know. We're up to that one.
What's angel eye?
What's angel?
They got notes.
Oh, it's just, we don't have to worry about it. We don't want to do a yard.
Oh, no, we still.
Angel eye.
It was angel eyes.
It said no, I just asked that.
It's part of the 3 eyes, part of immigrants. What's your study guide? That I literally just gave you.
I'm just like,
Niggas. Bad juju niggas. Hot seated a little bit. Let's go.
I hate that shit.
What was the Angel Island?
Study
Look
guide.
it up.
Look at
It's
your
right
study
here.
guide. It's under immigrants.
Okay.
That's a wolf from 15 Kevin.
I knew that.
Find it.
where's immigrants? I'll say immigrants.
On the front, right here.
I said,
There's a snow on the tip house.
Angel
What snows it? It's snowing.
Island.
After you make the first one, you make the snow back. It's not snowing.
What about barbed wire?
Alright.
Where's he at? No, he's not.
Who's the playing team?
Where's the Pony Express at?
That's what
That's not on the study guide. Watch out, sis. We're about to do a game in here.
He's not on here.
They won't play him, by the way.
Why not?
We don't play it. Pony Express is
What's
on
up,
your
man?
nose. Alright, stop. We're about to do a game.
He's not on here.
Who, Samuel Moore?
Oh, yeah,
He is.
Alright, I think that's where it's on the study guide.
Oh.
3 eyes.
Oh,
You need
oh,
immigrants in it.
Imagine that happening.
Right?
This way it'll be a fancy
That was my foot.
Alright, sis. Take a seat for a minute. Don't mess up any of my papers, please.
I told y'all was.
Aha, there it is. Alright, boys.
No.
Illuminati, have we selected our hot seat sitter?
Yeah.
Hot seat sitter.
Yeah.
Omar.
I'll be the hot
Sisters,
seat.
have we selected our hot seat sitter?
No. I would.
No.
I would go out of meeting. Why would you say that?
That's 2 out of 3,
Why
man.
not?
Oh, are you fighting to go? You want to go?
Just don't skip all of them.
He wanted to go.
Come on!
Actually, James, you can take it back.
Yeah. Let's go.
Hi, Illuminati. No, with the blindfold on.
Give me a second. I gotta
Put the
fix my
blindfold
sock.
on. Here's how this is gonna work. All right, Sailor, you go third.
There's one good game.
I'm gonna simply say I'm gonna simply say the term, and you have to describe it as we've described it in class. I believe barbed wire is not on the study guide. Okay, acknowledged, but we talked about it in class. Other than that, we definitely talked about them all, and it has been on your study guide, and you just studied it for about 7 minutes. Okay, so the 2-minute drill. As soon as I finish the first statement, the clock will begin. If you get it, I will say good, and that means I will give you the next one. If you want to pass, you say pass. That's fine. I won't mark it off, and I can come back to it. Can you see? Why are you acting like you can see? Okay. Ready, set, Transcontinental Railroad.
It was a continental railroad that expanded eastward, westward, and westward to east.
Yes. Philanthropy.
Donate money.
No. Try again.
There's three parts, one learning, one earning money, and one giving money away.
Okay. But someone who is a philanthropist, what are they focused on?
Giving money back to the community.
That's right. Ellis Island.
Immigrants from the east, which were mostly European.
Excellent. Barbed wire, significance.
Barbed wire from briars that help holding cattle.
That's right. And what did it do to the west?
To the west, it helped herd the cattle where they needed it to go.
Yeah, it kind of took away from the herding, closed off the west, right? I'll give it to you. Alexander Graham Bell.
Alexander Bell, pass.
Pass. Thomas Edison.
Thomas Edison invented the light bulb.
What was its significance?
Significance was light, pretty much.
Yeah. What did it do to the American workforce? What can you do with light?
Evolved.
Work longer. That's true. Plains Indians. Tell me about the Plains Indians.
Well, we was building the Continental Railroad, which means that we had to go through their land, which means we were kicking off the land just to make a railroad to connect the country.
That's true. What was their major sustenance?
Buffalo.
Buffalo. Samuel Morse.
Samuel Morse. Pass.
John Rockefeller.
Oil.
Oil.
He founded oil.
Andrew Carnegie.
Steelman.
That's true. Angel Island.
Agents from the west.
There it is. Monopoly.
Monopoly. On all the industries.
5 seconds. That's true. Alexander Graham Bell. 3 seconds.
Pass.
Pony Express. Burn. Hey, that was pretty good. Let me count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10. James, you keep your ticket right here. 10. Ladies, you kind of got a freebie in listening. Maybe I should have sent someone out of the room, but I didn't. Who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be?
Ezzy.
Who's it gonna be?
Ezzy.
Ezzy, come on up. Come on up. Sadly, you go third, okay?
He would not have got that many.
Okay.
Can I tell like that one?
Sure. All right, boys, listen. All right, hey, listen. Let's do this, and we'll give the final score. Oh, you're just turning. You don't want to put that on? All right, that's fine. Ready, set. Plains Indians.
It was when like the white settlers came and they could invade their property because they were doing development.
That's right. What was their major source of sustenance?
What's that?
Major source of the animal that they needed.
Oh, it's
Big and brown.
I know, buffalo.
Buffalo. There you go. Ellis Island.
It was when it was where they received immigrants from the east. They were mostly European.
That's right. Andrew Carnegie.
He was someone that he was an oil. No skill.
There you go. Cars need steel. What is philanthropy?
It was when we focused on giving back to the community with big donations to the community.
Excellent. Transcontinental Railroad.
It was where they were racing to build a railroad so they could build one faster with the sea.
Connected what two sides of the country?
The Pacific and the Atlantic.
East and west. Good. Samuel Morse.
He invented the telegraph.
That's right. Telegraph. Alexander Graham Bell.
He invented the telephone.
Telephone. Thomas Edison.
He was the light bulb.
That's right. Pony Express.
It was when you could receive messages, like you could send it out easier.
That's right. That's a mail service. Angel Island.
Where they received immigrants from the west, they were mostly Asian.
That's right. Monopoly.
An industry where there was little or no competition.
That's right. John Rockefeller.
He was an oilman and he was the richest.
That's rocks for oil. Barbed wire.
I don't know.
That's the only one left. Barbed wire.
Um,
What did it do to the west? 3, 2, 1. She still wins. Ran the table. Izzy.
Bye.
12. Woo! Hey, yes, sir, is right. Let's go. How about them Sanderson sisters?
Bye.
Sanderson sisters on the rise. Let's go.
And technically, that was not fair. You asked me more questions. Fine, I got you.
I'm running out. You take 2 each. Well done. Well done. All right, Sayla is up, and here's how it's going to work for Sayla. I'm going to say the movie, and Sayla says the princess. Ready for that? All right. Go.
After this, I want one more turn.
Okay.
Wait, don't we have to turn this in?
Yes, collect that up for James. James, I'm going to take your journals.
Wait,
Okay.
let me get it.
No.
Oh, that's your blindfold. All right. All right, princess, are you ready? Aladdin.
Jackson.
Sleeping Beauty.
She's mean, bro. Y'all know that?
The Little Mermaid.
Ariel.
Beauty and the Beast.
What I do?
Princess and the Frog.
Come here.
What I do?
I need to get.
Ready, you're out.
I need to give you my study guide.
That's right. Oh man, that was
I was like,
Frozen. Tangled.
Imagine being smarter than James because my time more. Actually,
Royal
you got
family.
lucky because I can say them all.
Yeah.
No, I already know. And plus, they were
She's the first. She's a princess. She is the first.
She may help you.
and specific.
Okay. She wears the purple
I
dress. She's a
didn't
kid. She's the
stutter
first.
on philanthropy.
You just ate one.
Yeah, he Monopoly.
He gave me more questions.
They were the same. No, he
Can I get one?
because you were.
Sophia the first. How about this key to Apple? That's right. Man, I'm struggling now. You know all.
Daddy.
You can't.
Yeah, just put it back.
Try to get Sandy. Okay.
Enchanted, that's right. Tyler, you win! You ran the table, you got all of them.
No. Did you earn one? Did you even try? I didn't get up there. I'm like, sister, so I did try. Yeah.
Well done, good class. All right, hey.